by the hands of a woman. Now we have Gideon, this young man who God chose to go before the Midianites. And I got a little history on the Midianites. The Midianites were a group of people in the Hebrew Bible, and they were descendants of Midian, a son of Abraham and his wife Keturah. So we do know that after Sarah died, Abraham did have another wife. He had Keturah. So we go in and we look and we could see the Midianites go back as far as Genesis 37 and 28. Moses' father-in-law, he was a priest of Midian, Jethro. During that time, he advised Moses on the leadership and introducing him to the concept of judicial responsibilities. That's in Exodus 18. But now we're going to talk about the Gideon that God called, because Israel yet was a nation that was always seeking after other gods. And God always came to their rescue. And when God would come to their rescue, he would deliver them out and they would go right back in. And sometimes it was severe on how God would put them back into captivity, and he will put them back there to remind them that he was their God. And right now I am in Judges 6 and 11. And we're talking about this young man by the name of Gideon. Now, Gideon is much like a lot of us. Because God had chose him, he needed a whole lot of reassurance. I'm in Judges 6 and 11. Then the angel of the Lord came and sat beneath the great tree at Orpha, which belonged to Joash of the clan of Abiezer. Gideon, son of Joash, was threshing wheat at the bottom of the winepress to hide the grain from the Midianites. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." Now I'm going to tell you why he was there and he was pressing, he was at the threshing floor, is because the Midianites were stealing everything they had. They were starving. God had put them back into captivity of the Midianites. And you see, the Midianites go back as far as Genesis, so they are not new to them. But for them, this right here, I believe, was the worst, because they came in, they stole their grain, they stole their sheep, they stole their oxen, they stole everything that they had. And God sends an angel to come to this man while he's hiding food. How many times have we been in a position where it may not have been our fault for what we're going through, but we're going through something. And we're going through it real tough. We're going through something real deep. And God said, "I'm going to choose you to go and do what I need for you to do." And you like, "God, don't you see I'm barely eating? Can't you see I'm really going through?" And the Bible said that he was hiding it because he knew if they came in, the Bible said they came in on camel like locusts. So that means that anything a locust sees, it does what? It devours it. So they had nothing. And he's sitting there, and God sent an angel and say, "I'm choosing you to be a deliverer of my people." Now, if I was Gideon, I'll be like, "Okay, God, you're choosing me to do what?" But God looked at his heart. And I've been on a heart thing for the longest, because it doesn't matter how you feel today. It is your heart posture that you have before God. God does not deal in your feelings. He deals with the heart. The enemy used feelings. A whole lot of people are in jail because of how they felt about something or somebody or somewhere. However, God deals with the heart, and he's looking for a heart that would lean unto him. It would lean on him. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, "Mighty hero, the Lord is with you." Sir Gideon replied, "If the Lord is with us, why had all this happened to us? And where is all the miracles our ancestors told us about? Didn't they say the Lord brought us up out of Egypt? But the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites. Then the Lord turned to him and said, go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you. We see this in Exodus where we have this old man by the name of Moses and his brother with him. And when Moses said, God, I cannot talk eloquently, I stutter, he said, well, take your brother with you. That will be your mouthpiece. So I'm yet going to send you. God said, I'm yet going to send you, but I want you to know that even what you're going through today does not determine who I see you being in your future. Now, Gideon's like a lot of us. Gideon said, hey, wait a minute. I need a sign from you. I need you to show me something. And because he knew after a while he was speaking to the Lord, he said, let me go fix you something to eat. He said, and the angel said, I'll wait on you. He said, I'll wait, I'll wait for you to give me something to eat. So when he waited, the angel, I'm in verse 20, the angel of God said to him, place the meat and the unleavened bread on this rock and pour the broth over it. And Gideon did as he was told. And the angel touched the meat and bread with the tip of his staff in his hand, and fire flamed up from the rock and consumed all he had brought. And the angel disappeared. Now we talk about fire. I was going through, I said, God, the word said, you are a consuming fire. I said, Lord, I remember when Abraham and he went between, it's called, I can't even think of it now. But when Abraham had split and God walked through because there was nothing greater that God can go by but himself. So we're talking about a consuming fire. That's what God showed him. I am that I am. And then we go forth, and I got some notes here. I'm going to read some, and I may go here, there, and everywhere, but I'm going to stay on topic. Gideon went to fight the Midianites, the very people that held them captive for 7 long years. Yet, before the battle began, God had already set Gideon apart. We just read that in chapter 6, and chose him as a judge over Israel. Now, the threshing floor, we got to have an idea. We know around about what time of the year it was if he was at the threshing floor. We're thinking about maybe between May and June-ish. So we got an idea of when this did happen. So we got a little bit of history about the threshing floor, and we know about the threshing floor because we know it was Solomon that, he was at the threshing floor, and they ended up seeing an angel, and if I'm not mistaken, it was Solomon. They got scared, and they ran away. This was during the time of the threshing. Now, we also go back. This ought to encourage somebody because God does not choose you based on who you are right now. You can be every bit of messed up right now, but God does not see you in the now. He sees you in the future. He chooses, and based on, he chooses you based on who he already knows you are becoming. When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he didn't speak to his fear, his weakness, or his insecurities. How many times have God told us to go and do something because of fear at that moment we do not go through with it? Satan speaks to fear, but God speaks to faith. Now, with Gideon was still a little, okay, God, you did call me. I know you called me. I know I'm chosen to do this. The angel done came, and Gideon, maybe like a little of us, he got a little scared. He said, I done seen the Lord. I done seen the Lord's face. He said, God, please don't kill me. He said, oh, Lord, God, forgive me. God said, go in peace. Now, we know that Gideon was chosen. We know that God has set him aside. We know God has given him a sign. Now God is speaking into his destiny. He's not speaking to the man that Gideon thinks he is, because Gideon actually says, my house is the smallest in the clan. Not only that, I'm the least in God's house. We done heard that before. I'm the least in God's house. I'm the youngest. destiny. Look at David. David was the one that was up in the mountains with the sheep. He was the least thought about. So what did God think about the least? It seemed like God liked the least, the ones that are counted out, the underdogs. But God yet chose this man. He didn't care who he was today. He was looking for him in his tomorrow. Sometimes we are so stuck and fixed on today that God can't even get us to our destiny of tomorrow. He didn't speak to his fear. He didn't speak to his weakness or his insecurity. God called him a mighty man of God. How many times have we got a word of God and God has told us, woman of God, prophetess, evangelist, and you say, God, who me? You must have see what I was doing. I just cussed out my husband last night. For real, I did not. I'm just saying that. I just cussed out my husband last night. Man, I'm a hustler. I'm out here on these streets and I'm trying to make my dollar. I'm trying to flip it. God said, I don't care about that. I see who you're going to be. You're going to be a great man, a woman of valor. In other words, God spoke into Gideon's destiny. Do anybody know what your destiny holds? They got a group that used to be Destiny's Child. Now, Destiny's Child is no longer together, but what happened to every last one of them women? Beyonce went on to hit records. Kelly Rowland went on to do movies. But it was something about that name, Destiny's Child. That means that I am not who I am today, but I'm walking into something greater than who I am. How many times do we got to get up and move around and walk into the greater of who we are? If you sit where you are, you can never see the greatness that God has before you. And there are moments that we cannot recognize who we are because we're looking through these natural eyes. I get on contacts today, and I can't see without them. But with my spiritual eyes, I can see beyond what I see right now. I can see in the spirit realm when something is not right and when I'm not feeling the way I should. But sometimes God want to take the spirit man, take the natural man away, and so the spirit man can live. See, we live with the pressures of the present. How many of us have gone through something, are in the middle of something? How many of us are saying, God, how can you choose me when I'm right in the middle of this? What is this? I preached a message called This and That. This is everything that's coming against who you are. And that who I'm supposed to be, God, I'm not even sure about it. Because, God, here I am in the middle, and I'm trying to work the middle. But God never looks at us the way we look at ourselves. Did anybody get up this morning, look in the mirror, and say, I look good? I did. I did. When I got done fixing my hair, popped them, I said, you cute. Because I saw myself in the mirror. But there are there times when we spiritually go to the spiritual mirror and say, God, where am I fractured at? God, where am I messed up at? God, where do you need to heal me at? God, what is going on where you're not pleased with me at? God, I see a blemish here. That, God, I know this is not pleasing to you. God, I see this. So when you go to the mirror and you look, what do you see? God sees us in the spirit. He sees the strength we have not discovered, the faith we have not yet fully walked in, and the purpose we have not fully embraced. How many times have you been told to go do something, and because you didn't see it with your natural eyes, you said it can't be? This just can't be. God ain't doing that. And it may seem a little crazy. I was listening to Travis Green. He pops up now a lot on my timeline, and I like his preaching. And when one of his messages was, he said, I wanted this building. And he said, the Lord told me to walk around the building 7 times. We understand that was also happened with the wall of Jericho. And he said, I began to walk around the building. He said, I didn't want to look stupid. But even as I was walking around the building, he said, this Jewish guy stopped me. He said, are you a man of God? He said, yeah, I am. He said, because you believe, I'm going to walk with you and I'm going to believe. There are times when God will ask us to do something that does not seem right to us, but by faith, it is created and God gets the glory. And And the reason why I'm saying this, because I'm getting to why Gideon was so important. He was instrumental to the children of Israel, even though they had done wrong. And they had done wrong not only one time, they had done wrong a lot. And they had been in a lot of captivities. As I was counting, I said, y'all done spent almost another 40 plus years in captivity because y'all went after other gods. And God would yet send a man of God to them to explain to them why you going back in. Now, you know, that's deep. That's almost like that mama and daddy who about to give you that whoop and they tell you why. And they talk to you why they about to whoop you. I'd rather you just go on and give me the whooping. Don't talk to me. Because that means that every lick you give me, it's a word coming out of your mouth. You ain't got to talk to me. Just go on and whoop me. But that's where they was. And because that's where they were, God is yet working with Gideon. Now, chapter 7, Gideon is getting ready for the battle. But before the fight starts, we see a struggle with Gideon's spirit. I know God called me. I know I am chose. The angel done came to me. I seen what God can do. I heard what he can do. I asked the question, where's the God of my ancestors? Where is he at? And I see him. But God, did you really want me? How many times do we go to God because we don't understand? Do you really want me? I'm in a lot of doubt. Why would you want me? I'm a nothing and a nobody. Why would you want me? God said, I want the nothings and the nobodies. Because if you think you somebody, that means that everything I do, you're going to think you did it. So I want the nothings and I want the nobodies. Gideon wanted another confirmation that God was truly with him. So he laid out a fleece before the Lord. Now, if anybody know this story, I particularly love this story. Because when I first read it, it was Zerubbabel. And if you want to know how he got that name, back in, I believe, in chapter 6, God has sent Gideon to go tear down all Asherah worship. And if you don't know what that is, like the totem poles, they was out there with the totem poles, and God told him to go and do it. And Gideon was scared again. He went at night. He didn't take nobody from his house. What he ended up doing was he went with them, tore down the poles, and God said, I want you to take that wood of them poles, and I want you to sacrifice on it. And I was like, God, why would you want to do that? I said, why would you want them poles? Because he said them poles were nothing but for kindling. Them poles were absolutely nothing and no good. So God said, I want you to dedicate to me right here. This is where it's supposed to be anyway. He went and did that. When the men woke up the next morning, they saw what Gideon had done, and they went to Joash, and they wanted to get Gideon and execute him. And his daddy said, wait a minute, well, what y'all gonna do to my son? What, you gonna do what? He said, well, if Baal is so much your God, let him come and let him do to my son what you think should be fair. That was one of the, when I sat there and watched that, I said, wow. And he ended up being called Zerubbabel because of that. And that right there, when he tore down the images, that is how he ended up with his name. Now we're going to get back to him because I want to give y'all a little understanding, because this young man, when God calls you, a lot of times there is apprehension. A lot of times there are times when you're saying, God, why would you call me? God, why would you want me? Why would you trust me with your word? Why would you trust me with your people? God, do you not know who I was or what I'm trying to escape or how I'm trying to come out? And God said, I know all of that. That's why I want you. I want you because I know I could trust you. Even with David, God said, I know I could trust you, David, because I know you won't kill Saul. Abraham, I know I could trust you because when it came for you to give me your only son, you was willing to sacrifice him. I can trust you. Zerubbabel, I can trust you. So now here we got this man of God who is sitting and he's looking, and I only can imagine how he was when he asked God about that fleece. Because when I was younger and I read it, I said, man, you really doing a lot. You know, God done showed you some things, but God was yet merciful to him. He laid out the fleece before the Lord. He said, God, if you are with me, let the fleece be wet in the morning and let it be dry, and let the ground be dry. And God did exactly that. How many times do we ask God to give us a sign? I know we do. God, give me a sign to let me know you with me, because I'm about to do something real crazy now. Show me a sign. All of a sudden, a neon light out of nowhere. You be driving, and it'll say whatever. You be like, okay, God, you can't get no bolder than that. I'm going to go on and do it. But then Gideon had another thing. He said, if you are with me, let the fleece be. And he said, God did exactly. Then Gideon came back and said, Lord, don't be angry with me. I don't want you to be upset with me. But this time, let the fleece be dry and the ground be wet. What does this show us? It shows us that even the people of God can still wrestle with fear, uncertainty, and hesitation. But aren't we glad that God is merciful enough to meet us even in our moments of weakness? Gideon needed reassurance, and God gave it to him. And there are times in our life where we need God to confirm what he has already spoken over us. Because the weight of the assignment makes us question the strength that's within us. Heavy is the crown, heavy is the head that wear the crown. How many times God done sent you on assignment and you said, God, I know you is playing with me. I know you gotta be playing with me. I don't, wait a minute, hey. But God said, I'm not playing, because I know I could trust you with my people. Do we understand that when God put us in these positions, God is trusting us with his gems? God, people are his jewelry. These are the ones that he had put aside. Do you not understand that when God trusts you with his people, that means God has a lot of faith in who you are? But hear me clearly. If God placed you here or there, he will sustain you here or there. If God called you to it, he will equip you for it. I don't know who I'm speaking to, but if God done called you into a place, trust and believe that God is going to equip you in that place. There's no time for you to doubt who God is. Time is winding up, and Jesus is on his way back. And God is now choosing his people, and he's making you get up. He's making you move. If God called you to it, he's going to equip you to do the job. The only way you don't do the job effectively is because you don't want to put on the equipment. If God declared that you are who you are, then you don't have to live beneath what God has spoken over you. If God has called you to be an evangelist, evangelize. If God has called you to be a pastor, pastor. If God has called you to worship, worship. Whatever God has called you to do, do it, but do not live beneath what God has called you to do. A lot of times we don't want to do it because in this walk it means work. This walk is work. And a lot of times we don't want to work. We say, oh, that's just good enough. I hate that. I'm just one of them type of people. I don't like good enough being good because it ain't good enough. How are we going to give God half and not all? Gideon gave him everything. I'm gonna wind this up, God. I thank you for it. The Lord told Gideon, in essence, you must know who is truly with you and who is truly ready to stand with you to fight. So God command, if any man is fearful and timid. Now we are talking about when Gideon get ready to go against the Midianites. He had a lot of men. We had a lot of friends. We used to, hang out with our peeps, and if you was the popular one, you had a lot of people around. And, that wasn't Gideon's thing. But as I began to read and, to study a little bit about this, I realized that God did not want Gideon to have a lot of people around him. And this is something that goes on a lot in our sanctified lives. You may be by yourself a lot of the times. You may have 2 or 3 friends, if God even allows that. Because everybody can't go where you're going, and you can't pull them and take them with you. So you have to be who you are and you have to be true to the word of God in your life. Now, when we talk about Gideon and God, he had a whole, I would say a whole fleet, a whole army. So God gave a command. He said, if any man is fearful or timid or afraid, let him leave this mountain and go home. Guess how many left? 22,000. So what's that? That's about your friends, right? So when we are in this thing, we really are in this thing for the glory of God. Because 22,000 were afraid. Even though they went willingly and obediently, God gave them an out. He said, you can go if you want to, because I don't need nobody who's going to be afraid. Because if you're going to be afraid, that means that you are going to be, essence, somebody that was going to allow my men to be captured. A lot of people, prisoners of war, are the ones, at times, they let their guard down because they were afraid. Now, God said, okay, 22,000 leave, leaving only 10,000 willing to remain in the battle. Sometimes God has to separate us from the crowd so he can reveal who really belongs in the assignment. Sometimes he has to thin the rank so we stop leaning on numbers, personalities, and appearances and learn how to trust the power of his name alone. A lot of times if you got a big crowd, you feel you're stronger. But God said, I am all that you need while you are in this. This assignment is requiring those who are going to stand even in the midst of the storm. God has chose you, pulled you out. He has predestined you, even though you don't understand the destiny. Then after he done did all of this, he done sent an angel to you so you can know that I am your God. He has proved himself time and time again. Now God said, I want you to thin the herd because I don't need all of them. And the reason why God don't want all those people, because then you say, I did it. We remember that with Saul. Saul got beside himself and he thought that I did it. And he lost the anointing because he said, I. Satan was one who said, I want to be like the Most High God. I get you in trouble. So it's best that when you go before God, you say, God, here I am, and can you, humbly, can you do this for me? Now, when we come along, there are seasons when God will strip away the masses just to remind us that he is who he say he is. And when the fight and the battle of God has been assigned to our lives, we do not fight for our own glory, in our own strength, or under anybody else's banner. We fight in the name of the Lord. And that name is enough. Now, in verse 5, we're going to see Gideon took the warriors down to the river, and they got water. And there God began to do the separation. Do you know God has separated many of us from a whole lot of people? I don't have the same friends that I used to. Even the people that I was kind of close to when I was working at my jobs, I'm not close to them because, see, I'm on an assignment that's way different than where I was then. In this thing, you should grow. In this thing, there's a maturity that you're supposed to be walking in. So I can't talk the same conversations. I can't do the same things that I used to do. And I for surely can't walk on the same road that I was walking on. That I was doing anything wrong? Absolutely not. But there's a maturity that have came that I had to separate myself from a lot of people so I could be in the place where God wanted to use me. The Lord told him to watch the men drink. Some dropped to their knees, others dropped to their faces in the stream. But only 300 lifted their hands and stayed alert as they drank. And the Lord said, these 300 I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Send the other ones home. God said, I want to know who's going to be alert. The Bible says, watch as well as pray. Watch as well as pray. That means that we are praying, but we're looking for the enemy at every corner. We cannot let our guards down. We cannot be found wanting or in the balance because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. What a word that is, because it reminds us that God does not need a crowd to bring victory. He's looking for people who can stay watchful while they are being refreshed. People who know how to receive what they need from God without losing their awareness in the spirit. Gideon sent away the other, but kept the 300. With the remnant, don't you know there's a remnant? There's a remnant. Sometimes we don't know. We'll feel like, God, I'm the only one serving you. That's not true. God always going to have a remnant. Somebody's going to always serve God. Somebody's going to always want God. Somebody's going to always love God. Somebody's always going to be humble to God. So please don't think that you're the only one. God was getting ready to turn the whole situation and the battle around. Then that night with the midnight camp laying below the valley, the Lord spoke to Gideon and said, get up, go down to the camp, for I have given you victory over them. I love this because he got up at night. And sometimes God will deal with us at night. And we'll just roll right on over like God ain't even talking to us. But how many of y'all know that when God be talking sometimes, he don't stop talking till you get up? He gonna talk till you understand what he's saying. Or if you do roll over, he don't come back for a little while to let you know that I am God, that you just can't roll over on me and act like I'm nothing and nobody. In the stillness of the night, when everything around you is quiet, the whisper of the word will move in your whole life a new direction. Those are holy moments. Those are moments when fear has to step aside and obedience has to arise. And maybe there's somebody right now, I don't know, God is stirring in you in an uncomfortable hour, calling you to move when you rather be still. Is there anybody in here that if I done said anything tonight, you know that God is really calling and tugging at you? I'm not here for show. Please and trust and believe me. I could have put on a tape tonight. I'm not here for that. I'm here because if God has called you to be in the place, I want to pray with you tonight that you be in that place like Gideon got in that place. You may not be 100% sure, but God, if you know God has called you and you're fearful of it, I need for you to come on down to the altar. Because this is a time when God is really moving, and I keep saying it, God is about to send his son. And this is not a time for nobody to be like, I'm not sure, because the unsure people will surely be the ones left behind. I don't know if you know what left behind means. That means that when Jesus appeared in the sky, the ones that are saved and the ones that have died in Christ, he's going to take them and he's going to lift them up, and that's called the rapture. Anyone that's left behind, it's almost like you are getting ready to go to hell, unless you can make it to Petra. Now, Petra is in Israel, but you got to get a flight. When all this is happening, your passport, your visa, it does not matter what you get or have, it may not work for you. And I don't think you're going to have the money to get on the plane. I believe once the rapture happens, everything is going to get shut down. So I'm telling you, if God is calling anybody to service, or God has put on you an assignment, today is the day for you to take the assignment and run with it. This is not the time to say, I'll do it next week, because next week may not come. If you know you have an assignment, Satan also know you have an assignment. Trust and believe. If I'm here speaking on tonight, trust and believe the enemy was trying to talk all day off and on. Started on Sunday, we on Tuesday. Because somebody needs to hear this and get it right with God and know that God is real and that he done called you and not to play with him no more. I don't know if you out there in Facebook, if you on the website, I don't know. But this is a time to take this word to heart and to be serious with God. God is looking for those that are willing to say yes. The whole thing about Gideon was he said yes. He accepted the assignment. He did not understand it, but he followed the instructions of God until God showed him the fullness of it. This is a time for you to get in that place where God is able to show you the fullness of the assignment. I could have been at home. I don't know what come on Tuesday nights. I just could have been at home. I don't know. Probably been asleep by now. But this means more to me that somebody give their life than for me to be at home doing absolutely nothing. I tell you, this is going to cost you something. This is work. You are not going to be able to sit especially if God called you to be on the front lines. There's no sitting on the front lines. If you sit, you're surely to die. Anybody want prayer? I thank you, God. Anybody want prayer? Because this is not the time. I'm going to say this to you, Brother William. You know I love you. Make up your mind which way you going to go. And be sincere about it. Because one day you're going to walk in here and you're going to get another word. And this word is going to be one of them words that you're not going to want to hear. And that word is going to be so strict and it's going to be so to the point that if you walk out, you may not never come back in. Understand me. Love you. I do. I love you. I love you to death. You know I do. Don't play with God. If you're going to be in it, be in it. You in everything else that you're a part of, you put your whole heart in it, right? Put your whole heart in this. Anybody else want prayer? I'm not going to play with nobody on tonight. My job is here not to make nobody feel good, but my job is to be here that everybody that hear my voice decides to want to turn their life over to Christ and able to pick up their assignment and know that their destiny has already been foretold and that God is waiting on you. He's waiting for you. Now, I don't know how long God is going to wait for you because there are times and seasons in all of our lives. And when them times and seasons have already been spent, you have to wait all over again. And a season can be 40 years because we do know that the children wandered in the wilderness 40 years. In 40 years, a lot of things can happen. A lot of babies are born, a lot of people die, economics change, everything happened within 40 years. Do not walk out of here tonight without God. Now, back to Gideon. The Lord was teaching Gideon that the battle will be not won by numbers. Sometimes we think the more people we have sitting in our sanctuary, that's the better the ministry. That's not so. You can have a church full of people coming here every Sunday, and they all could be on their way to hell. You want the ones that want God, who is willing to cup their hands and drink the fountain. That's what you want. I'd rather see somebody come in the house of God to love him for who he is than for you to come and you want him to give to you. Sometimes we'll seek the hand but not the man. You want God to give me, but what are you giving in return? What are you telling God I'm willing to sacrifice? There's a sacrifice to this life, guys. There's a real sacrifice to this. God does not want to diminish any of us, but he wants us to come in and he wants us to walk holy and boldly in him. He wants us to seek after him. He wants us to love on him. He wants us to know that he is the truth, the way, and the light. He wants these things because there is none greater than him. But what happens? Gideon was just one person out of many that God had chose, and he said yes. Do I got anybody who want to say yes? And I'm going to tell you, you don't got to say it with me on this altar, but can you say it on the altar of your heart? This is where God is at right now. He don't care about the lip service. Man, people say a whole lot of stuff and don't mean a word of it. But what do you tell God when you on your knees in your closet? That's what I want that yes at. I don't know if I could live saved. Have you tried? I don't know if I can do it. Like Gideon, just like Nike, just do it. Anybody else need prayer? I'm done. I know I'm not here for me. Anybody want any prayer? Anybody want to be strengthened? Anybody want to touch and agree? I trust God on tonight. Everything ain't everything that I want it to be, but everything is everything because I am who God has called me to be. And I'm yet walking and learning, and God is yet teaching me because I said yes. Amen. If nobody wants prayer, if everybody is good, and everybody, Bookie, come on up. Sister Monique, you can listen. This ain't no time to play. We done had all these tornadoes. God has been truly talking. God has been talking. We see devastation like we have never seen devastation before in our area. Because it used to be devastation in their area. We got people that we could talk to say, I ain't got no house no more. But yet, I don't want to be saved. I don't want to give God my all. Are you insane? First Lady was telling me that one of the pastors that we are in fellowship with,
Our mission is to seek God's face, teach the good news to the lost, and make disciples for the kingdom of God. Our hope